So, if you are trying to raise your credit, you're not alone. More than 50% of American consumers have low credit scores. And I hate to tell you, some of the worst cities to fix that, they're right here in Illinois. Here to tell us more is Brian Carberry. He's the managing director for Apartment Guide, which just released the numbers. Brian, good morning.
Hey, Felicia, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. So we're talking Dalton and Maywood, Illinois, both cities right outside of Chicago on the city's south side and west side, made the top 5 worst places to repair bad credit. So what factors did the team analyze to complete this study?
Yeah, that's right. Dalton was actually the worst place we found. Maywood was the fourth worst. We looked at a bunch of different factors, anything from the average credit score within the city, cost of living compared to the national average, unemployment rates, eviction rates for residents in the city, school spending per student, interest rate, which are all basically different indicators of how difficult it can be for you to kind of get your finances back on track if you end up in an unfavorable situation.
So do you think that access to financial education has something to do with these low scores for these cities?
Absolutely. I think that, and I'm not saying that these cities don't have access to financial education. I mean, it really comes down to, individual people, individual locations, individual areas to really just kind of learn the best way that they can manage their finances. That could be, you could have someone in Dalton, for instance, who's doing fine. I'm sure there's plenty of people that are, but then there's other people that, might just be down on their luck or might have just made poor decisions and are now struggling to get back on their feet. And it's just because, when they were, when they were younger, they might have just, spent too much on credit cards. We've all been there. So.
Yeah, we've all been there, Brian. I'm raising my hand too. Do you have any tips on what these residents should do?
Really just kind of make a plan, make a budget to get back on track, see if you can, if you are in debt, pay a little bit more than the minimum payment. They always say if you make that minimum payment, you're going to be paying off that debt for, 30, 50 years, depending on how much that debt is. Try to see if you can put a little bit more aside each month for that. See what you can put into savings, for that rainy day fund. So if something does happen, you don't need to put it back onto a credit card. You actually have a little bit of, money in the bank that you can use, for savings. And if not, then you've got a little nest egg for a vacation or something like that. And really just don't overspend your means, live within your means, know what you can afford. It's okay to splurge every once in a while, but just be smart about it.
Yeah, so Brian, one thing that's been talked about with Kamala Harris on the campaign trail, she called for amending the Fair Credit Reporting Act to require credit reporting agencies to include payments of rent, cell phone bills, and utilities when calculating credit scores. It's kind of shocking that they don't include that. But if they did include the payment of rent and cell phones, do you think that that would help improve people's credit scores?
I think so. There are a lot of people that are paying their rent on time. They need a place to live. And if you're going to decide between, having a roof over your head or missing a credit card payment, I'm sure that 99.9% of people would would have that rent payment as the necessity. So I think, if those cell phone bills, those utility bills, those, rent payments were included on credit scores, it would help give some of these people a boost, a higher credit score. You might have a greater chance at getting approved for a more favorable loan with possibly a lower interest rate that will make it a little bit easier for you to get out of debt.
Okay, Brian Carberry, thank you for your time.
Absolutely. Have a great day.